yawn. Yeah, unprofessional. Unprofessional. That's me though, right? Actually, it kind of is, and I don't really care. So, yeah, I thought we'd use the Rhino Viper for a thumbnail today if we're gonna chit chat a little bit, because I like the Rhino Viper. It's pretty kick ass. Uh, it's an awesome snake. Welcome. All these names look familiar. Hopefully, we get some more on here and get a little bit of people who aren't familiar. And basically, it's going to be pretty short, you all. Hello again. Hello again. Uh, so, I guess the first thing I wanted to talk about today is I understand there's been some things, at least I've heard, I haven't personally viewed it, said about me, and so I wanted to address all those, right? Since they're being said about me, I figure I should say what's going up. It's actually not that. That's just the first one we're going to talk about, and I figure it's time for me to share what all of that is that I know is being said, so we can clear up whatever it is people think from actually the source. Now, if anybody's looking for me to say something about anybody else, it's not going to happen, y'all. I don't fucking do that. That's just stupid, wasteful time. So we're not going to do that. It's just not honestly worth my time. As you can see, I have a whole notebook of notes. They're blank. I don't have any notes. Not what I spend my time doing. Why do I have 3 full-time jobs? Well, in a nutshell, I don't. Technically, I have this many full-time jobs. Now, you'll often hear me reference having 2 full-time jobs. What are those full-time jobs? There's my actual career, right, that I've been in for 20 plus years. And then there's this. This would be job number 2 I talk about. Taking care of these animals, the point I'm making is when you get to a collection, it's a job. Like, it's a job. It is. So this would be job number 2. It's kind of like all of us have. I know you didn't bushel like Morphs. I appreciate that. As long as it's all good, then it doesn't matter. And then the third job. Is there a third job? Yeah, there is. But it's not a full-time gig. It's literally a do it whenever you want gig. And that's your snake crap in your hands. So, and the reason for that is because I'm going to retire from job number 1. That date's a little bit flexing right now, just having to work through the retirement program. And when that happens, I wanted to go ahead and get job number 2 started because it is a commission-based job, right? And yeah, hookers and blow, definitely commission-based. And so exactly, it's transitioning into that. And yes, my current career is in law enforcement. I love it, but it is time to move on. I've had enough truly stressful things in life, and truly dark things and truly violent things that I've dealt with and seen and done that, you know what, I know I've hit my capacity. So I know it's time for me to look at making that exit and going into something that's a lot less stressful for this. So that was the first thing I wanted to address. I don't really have 3 full-time jobs. I've got 1. I've got my reptiles, which is 2, and then I've got a side hustle that I think this week I'll put in. This is a busy week for me. Let me look at that. That's going to take about 30 minutes. I might put an hour and a half into. Man. So, there is that. The other thing I remember hearing or being told that was said, yeah, hit a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it, y'all. It'd go a long ways. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that happy gizmo crap. If you want, check out our Patreon. If not, that's fine too. I think they misread the name. Gaming Chronicles happens. What I would suggest is, sorry, I got a message coming in. I gotta check that. I'm looking at 4 to 5 years. Awesome. Hey, man, if you're in the NYPD, you want to check out Blue Line Morphs if you haven't, because that is a buddy of mine located there at the NYPD as well, who is doing some kick-ass shit, man. Look that guy up. And if you don't know, we did, right in the middle of COVID, which really wasn't a popular time to do it, but we raised damn near $1,000 for your guys' Children and Widows Fund. So through our own donations and things we did and animals and everything else. So much love and respect NYPD for you guys. I appreciate seeing some other NYPD. But hit up Blue Line Morphs, cool dude, and I'm hoping to go there and visit him sometime because of that. You might have been the one that linked us up, which is pretty awesome. What I like banana with pin. That's just me. If I had to pick one morph to go with pin, it would be that one. But let's see what else. Caleb, help me out. I know there's something else I was supposed to talk. Oh, I remember that if you join my Patreon, I'm spending your money that you donate to me Oh, the spider, look at that, on Corvettes. That is not factual at all. I spend the money I get from YouTube. So if you're watching this and you see an ad, I'm spending that money on a Corvette. Now, that thing when I bought it was like 12 years old, and I paid most of it with insurance money from the other one that burned. But I do spend that much with, yeah, my YouTube money goes to buy a Corvette. My Patreon money does not. It goes to buy where I'm sitting. Because, see, this is an entire house we purchased that was, I still like banana with pin, but OD would be cool with pin. I just love the look of banana pin. And the reason for the house is because it was much cheaper than adding a building or anything else we could have possibly done. It was just kind of a cool concept, so I really do dig it. That's where your Patreon money goes, to pay for the house, run the house, pay the tax, pay the insurance, blah, 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 blah. Awesome. I don't have much experience with Hog Island, so I really can't give you a lot of advice on that, Nick, but they're pretty cool animals. I just haven't done a lot with it. Somebody mentioned the spider to spider. Apparently it was referenced or insinuated that we were selling breeding groups for spider to spider. That is also a complete, total, that's just a straight up lie. Basically, we had somebody come pick up snakes. They picked up 2 spiders. I believe, you said earlier, I think they're both females. I don't remember what they were at this point. But they weren't like bought as a breeding pair. The guy knows not to breed spider to spider. We talk about spider all the time. Like, all the time. We talk about spider more than most people. Anybody who watches me knows we don't breed spider to spider, nor do we sell you a pair of breeding spiders. That's just a straight up lie. There's no other way around it. It's not really a lie because it's just an insinuation. But that's not true. We would never recommend breeding spider to spider. And then, is there any other dumb shit I need to cover, or is that pretty? Oh, the other one I was going to cover. So we have a ton of videos referencing spider. Was that we've been doing this for like 10 years, and we don't make any money. That's a stretch. And the reason that's a stretch is I'm not going to get into the finances of it because it's really pointless, It does make an income. Now, is it like making hundreds of thousands of dollars? No, it's not. Could it one day? Yeah, it probably could. And will it one day? I don't know, maybe, if I really push it. But to say we got into this 10 years ago would be looking back and saying it's 2021, we got snakes in 2011. I don't remember the exact time we got a snake. I want to say it was probably 12 or 13. We got a snake. That was my first snake I had since I got rid of one in probably 2008, which I had one. And then I got 2 more male ball pythons after that, right? So, yeah, man, I was definitely in the business of breeding. And then it turned into, I'm going to see about breeding. I got breed curious. And then we didn't produce our first clutch until 2015. 2015. That was clutch number 1. Well, actually, you could say 2014. I told that story about how that clutch went multiple times. I've owned that one. But 2015, we produced our first viable clutch. That'd be the best way to put it. And I think I got a couple of those still left that I kept back. And then, we produced every year after that. When I first started doing this, my plan was, hey, I'm getting a lot of snakes. They need to pay their own rent, pay their own fucking bills. Once we kind of started seeing that could be a thing, usually it's like 2 lines run across, but it's not a guarantee. So, like, if you look around the tail, it'll be kind of like railroad tracks, we used to always call it. If you see it, higher odds, but doesn't mean like that is het pied. I know for sure it's het pied as if it came from a pied breeding. I got one that's got 1 train track, 1 broken, not het pied. So, 1 inch fire, other, yeah, all right. Inchy Firefly. They have about 2 more years till they're ready to breed. What would go well with them? 1 inchy fire and the other inchy Firefly. Oof, man, you could do about anything you wanted with that. Honestly, there's nothing that's going to go bad there. I mean, truth be told, I would probably, if that's the only things you got, and it was me, I would probably be looking for something like a recessive combo to put to that. So you could start getting some recessives worked in there. But that's kind of where I would go. But it wouldn't be just a straight, I would do a combo. Now, on to the money thing. So when I got into this, it turned into something different. I was like, hey, look, this could actually work. Maybe I can use inchy Firefly. They are sick, but you need to have them. Well, if you have the yellow belly in there, you could do it, I guess. It turned into, I can use this maybe to be a supplement for my retirement. And he said he was very aggressive about holding back animals. Yeah, and Garrett DeMeyer's, that dude's a legend. So I don't think anybody say he's fucking this up, right? Um, and so then, I wanted to like supplement my retirement, which I wasn't planning until I was 50, like 50. I was going to do that at 50. That's right. And so I had plenty of time. So it was a slow growing. And then we saw, oh, actually, this is doing better. The social media kind of took off, which we were surprised about. I was like, man, maybe we can increase this. So really, circa 2017, we started actually thinking about the numbers, which I hadn't ever done before. 15 and 6, like, oh, I like this. I like this. I'd keep a couple. 17, I started saying, okay, we got to keep more. And then 18, you got to keep more. And so then there was this, and then about 19, I want to say it was, or maybe in 20, we're like, okay, we're going to start trying to add 14 to 15 females a year. Roughly. Could be as low as 12, could be 17 sometimes, but somewhere in that neighborhood every year to grow this at a certain pace to hopefully be able to supplement that. Not supplement it. We'll supplement it, maybe take it over quicker because the potential is there. So we didn't really start focusing on it as like this is going to be a thing past, hey, if I would have retired at 50, I probably would have needed to make, in all honesty, oh shit, that'd have been like not much, like not much money at all. Maybe like 10 grand, an entire year to be good to go, which I would have done out of a room. But plans changed, and now the plans are never, and I've said this a million times, they still are not for me, and never probably will be. I say probably because, God, you never know, right? You really don't. Yes, retirement's in about 2 years, Ty's Mustangs. And I can't go any faster because, you can only do what you have time for. And there's no way I'm going to throw the retirement away that I've worked so long for the guaranteed pension and some other things else that I want there. And just a sense of accomplishment, because that was always my goal when I got started, was to make it to that point at minimum. So I'm going to do that. And if somebody thinks that's bad or dumb or wrong or whatever, I don't really care. I truly, truly do not. But that's kind of where we're going to go on that. The next thing is, so that's where the money was anyway. That's kind of the plan. On being huge and trying to grow a big business. Some people are going to want to do that, and that's okay. Go for it, man. I mean, do it if that's what you want to do. There's risk in it. There's risk in what I'm doing. I'll get to that too, and all these things. But if that's what you want to do, go for it. I don't begrudge anybody that at all. For me, I don't want to do that. What's up, David W? Man, I got to get you back on our Patreon. I miss you, brother. I miss you on those videos. What? This is the spit of time. You're your friend. So there's a lot of people on there. But back to what I was saying. I don't want to do that. I don't want to manage people. I don't want to be so married to my work at that point in time that I'm stuck all the time. It's not what I want. Or if I'm not stuck, I'm still working. Not my goal. My goal was to do this as a retirement. Caleb, I would hire you, but I don't really want to. My idea of an employee is a dude like maybe you or maybe Jeff, who's local. I could slip a little bit of cash to come check it a few times while I'm gone. Right? That's what I want. So I still want to be able to travel. I still want to be able to do the things I want to do in life and see what I want to see. For me, that's more important than making a lot more money. Right? That's not what I'm about. And to say I don't care about money would be a lie. Everybody cares about money, but I don't care about making all of it. I don't care about being rich. I don't care about, the perception on that. I really don't care. And there are some things I do that probably look opposite of that, given, but those are things I just enjoy. And it's not like, those people who have been here and know me personally probably could attest to that. I'm pretty redneck. Honest to goodness. Not as bad as Jeff, but I'm pretty redneck. And all I want for money is enough to live the lifestyle I want. I'm not needing to buy, $1 million house. I'm not needing to go buy a fucking brand new Lambo. I'm not needing to go buy, $100,000 diesel truck. I don't care. I don't care. I like the shit that I have, and I'm happy with it. Would I love a brand new Corvette? Absolutely. It would be much more fun than my, let's see here, 15-year-old one. Yeah. But it is what it is. So that's a good question. Nick says, do you have insurance on your snake business? What happens in the event of a fire, bug, or disease outbreak in the snake room? That is definitely a good question, and I can kind of answer that a little bit for you. So we have insurance on our house and insurance on the property within our house. Because these are animals, they cannot insure them. And I don't know if that's different in different countries or different states, but here they will not insure an animal. It's considered a pet type thing. They won't insure them. So it is not been something that we've been able to do. And somebody's like, that's not true. Well, I've talked to my agent at length, and honestly, I should have my official insurance license here as soon as the fingerprint card comes back, which at one point in time I had a top secret clearance, so I'm really not that worried about that, right? Or I should say provisional top secret clearance. I had to get that to get the job that I didn't take, and then I didn't do the rest, which takes 2 years to do the rest of it, not the provisional. Provisional took 6 months. So anyway, yeah, there's no way to do it. Even with a reptile shop, when we run insurance on that, you can run things like liability. You can run like a renter's insurance on the property. You can run all of those things, but they're not going to insure the actual animals. The only way maybe around that would be doing something like a farm setup, but that gets cost prohibitive on something like this, where it's also extremely hard for them to value, unlike a cow. So yeah, no, there's not really a good way to do that. Unfortunately, I wish there was. And if there was, I'd say it'd probably be a good thing to do. But yeah, and rats are expensive. Man, you gotta start breeding your own. You gotta start, like, Caleb, you need to come get with me. I swear to God, you and I need to talk about some rat shit. You, me, and Kurt, maybe at some point in time, because I would love to have an extra source of rodents I could purchase from when I need to, even when we're alone. So Trupanion, I don't know if they do a snake or not. I actually do have Trupanion on one of my dogs because I got him as a puppy and he chews up everything. And my wife's in love with that thing, and I can't look at that dog possibly and be like, well, this is too expensive. I'm not going to fix you. And we live right by a veterinary college that will be more than happy to do $15,000 in surgery on your dog. Trust me, I do know that. So we did get Trupanion on him, and I've never had to make a claim, so I'm pretty much pissing $30 away a month. But at least, it's all good, right? If he does have something, I know we can fix him, and my wife won't kill me, so I won't get divorced over that. We can give it every opportunity possible. I mean, they got like MRI machines for them and CAT scans. Like, it's nuts in there. It's a large teaching hospital. But yeah, I don't know if they do snakes. It would be cool if they did, but even then, like, it's $30 a month for one dog, roughly. And it depends on the sex, the breed, everything else, and the age you started at. If they did that per snake, okay, I can't do it, right? Oh, the other thing I was going to ask, is it more profitable in a rat breeding business or a ball python breeding business? Do big breeders like Perfect Prey have to be making a lot of money? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to run the numbers on both of them. I mean, it's really hard for me to say. Our rat breeding has always been to supply our animals with food. It's never been about really, making a profit. Once it moved to the store, Captain Jack is doing good. He's just old. That dog's like 16. So, that's funny for us pythons. But so with all of that, it's just I mean, I couldn't tell you which was more profitable. I think a lot of those places probably do a little bit of both, or they found the rats be more steady. I don't know. Answer to which question? I don't know the question. Oh, on the why I had 3 jobs. Yeah, I don't. That's the answer. That was just a non-truth. Probably an accidental non-truth, but a non-truth. I have one real job, one full-time job. I have the reptiles are job number 2, and then I have a transitional thing that I'm kind of learning to do so I can build a clientele and slip into that whenever I retire in 2 years. So that's what that is, and that's 100% truth of the matter. That's all there is to it. There you go, and now you get it. The other one is I don't have a Morph Market account, and that's also not true. I do have a Morph Market account. I just have never sold anything on Morph Market. I bought stuff through there. I've done that. That counts. But I don't think that's what they're referencing. The reason I don't have a Morph Market sales account is I've never needed one. I don't have anything against it. Morph Market's great. It's definitely been a good way for people to sell, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just haven't had to sell there. So for me, I look at sales go 3 ways. Like, okay, it starts with Patreon. I'll always sell on Patreon first. Second would be doing shows. I haven't had to go to a show other than one I threw some crap together to go to support it a few years ago. And COVID, there was really not a lot of shows running for a long time. They were all limited, and I didn't have anything left anyway. And then we'll probably start having extra stuff left just because of some growth and some other things I did to make that happen. And we'll go to shows, and after we go to a couple shows, the stuff's still left over, then we'll look to Morph Market and sell it there. We've never really had to do that. Now, in a lot of you're saying, how could you have nothing left? Okay, you caught me on that one. We don't sell every normal and every single gene and things like that on Patreon all the time. It doesn't happen. But rather than take, like that stuff to a show, because it's really not cost effective taking just that stuff to a show when all the good stuff already sold, we have a shop. We actually wholesale it to ourselves at the shop, and then we're done. So some of the stuff that's there actually came from me, and that's yeah. Some of his patrons are breeding them. Yeah, and so yes, I don't have any dream sickles. We'll probably this year what we put to our albino, we put to our young albino. I don't know if she's gonna go or not. It's not looking like she may take this year off. We did put pied to it, to where it pied straight albino, but it wouldn't be the lavender albino. It's just pied albino. So anyway, that is all I wanted to kind of get out there. Just the truth about me, because if you're going to hear about me, you might as well hear it from me and hear the honest truth. Now, what am I going to say about other people? Watch this. It's really simple, y'all. Nothing. There's nothing. It's pointless. So does anybody else have any questions or anything else that they want to? And JoJo's right. If you do join that, you do get a buy and sell there. That's one of the ways we're going to have more stuff take to shows. We'll allow our patrons to buy and sell through our thing. And there, that way we won't sell as much through there. As weird as that sounds, I'm just going to shows. I also think going to shows is good for business. It puts your face out there, keeps you talking to people in the area, and I'm not doing that enough. So getting to go to some shows would be great, So that is kind of where we're working at. If it doesn't happen in the near future, definitely in 2 years if I just go all the time, because I'll have so much more free time when I get rid of the main job. It'd be fucking amazing. So that's what I'm working towards. Not that I haven't loved it. I've loved every minute of it. Well, most of it, but not, yeah. It's Bang says, Health in the UK. A couple months ago, you helped me with advice by getting my male ball python to eat. He's now crushing foods. Thank you. Your advice was amazing. You're more than welcome. That is awesome. There needs to be another show soon. I'm getting the itch. Yeah, fuck Campbell's right. I gotta quit saying that for you. I'm gonna get. They may demonetize me for swearing. They don't really do that. But we can just ride together to one sometime, man. It'll be fun. And then let me get to Ball Python Chronicles. What's my main job? I actually work in law enforcement. I've been in law enforcement since 1999, and I've been a sworn officer since 2002. So there you go. Have I ever bought a snake from Dave Palumbo, Muscle Serpents University? I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever bought one from him. Now, on Dave Palumbo, let me tell you though, I've seen a lot of stuff he's produced. I've heard the dude talk. I've watched him quite a few times on some things, and he just seems like a very straight up dude. The times I've talked to him, really nice, awesome guy. So I wouldn't hesitate to buy it from Dave Palumbo. He's a guy on my list that if Dave's produced it, I wouldn't have a problem at all. So goatee's gonna be purple and gold. I keep thinking about getting rid of this, man. It makes me look old, but the wife says it looks good. I don't know. So I may cut the whole thing off one day. So I don't like missing work. So other than the times I've injured myself, like when I blew out my back and things like that, I literally have over 1,000 hours of sick time built up. But leaving early would be more of a, it's just, I started early. I will not, when I say I'm going to retire, understand I won't be able to collect my retirement, which is what this was initially set up for, was to supplement what I was going to collect. And so then we've had to change our plan to do that earlier, which is why I'm going to have the other job as well, just to make sure. So yeah, he is, yes, he is a bodybuilding dude, man. Who did your DG Cryptic stuff come from? So my DG Cryptic stuff came from Fireball. Good dude to work with, kind of a quiet guy, but a really good dude to work with. I would definitely purchase from him again without thinking twice about it. So another good one. And here's the thing, guys. That's why I really like shows. When I go to these shows, I bought those at a show. I met him at a show. I purchased from him at a show. I didn't really know him before then, and he had a ton of shit. And I mean, I'm sure if I had looked on Morph Market, I probably would know him for was more active on there. But I didn't. But here I could see his animals. I could talk to him. I could see how they were healthy. I could see how they looked, and go from there. So that is pretty awesome. And then everything went well. So boom. But yeah, so that's why I like shows, because it kind of equalizes that name thing, because you get to look at the animal, you get to talk to the person. Luke asked if my Corvette is purple. Actually, mine is, well, Okay, here's the thing. For full disclosure, there's three. Now, when I say there's three, you got to remember one of them I've had since I was 19. It's red. The other one I is the one that was referenced. It is orange. And then not so long ago, I bought my wife a 1993 because she like always read the fun car without me, and she always liked those in purple. So I do have a purple one, but it's actually hers. It is actually called Black Rose Metallic, but it's a purple color, and yeah. Best worst aspects of working in law enforcement. That's because I don't know anyone who's a police officer. No one in my family works in law enforcement. So, and I'll probably do a lot more on that once I'm no longer working there. I have to be very careful what I say when I am working there. I hope you understand that. There's policies and things on that. Some of the worst things is if you have family, it can take you away from your family all the time. I mean, I spent years working 6:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. Right? That ain't a lot of fun. The other worst aspect that you're going to run into is just you're going to see everybody at their worst. I mean, you think about it. If something very mundane for me, they're having a really bad day a lot of times. And then on top of that, like you get involved in everything. I mean, things that these super stressful situations that most people get into maybe once or twice in their lives, I get into constantly. Like, I mean, whether it's super violent death that you see, or a lot of that, like, I mean, unfortunately, I can tell you firsthand what a shotgun does to a human head. I've seen it, it ain't a good thing. I can tell you what a high power rifle does to one. Seen it, not a good thing. I know all too well the smell of the human body as it's decomposing. Not a good thing. I know what it's like to tell a parent that their infant's not coming back, like their infant's gone. Also, not a good thing. Unfortunately, I know what it's like to tell two little brothers and sisters that their little baby sibling is gone. That's not a good thing. So that's a lot of the bad stuff right there, right? And now the good stuff. You also get a chance to help people at their worst. Like today, I talked to two dudes who I know. Let's just put it that way. Their living situation currently is planned for them. If that makes any sense. But here they are, and I see them, and one of them I know has got some struggles in life, like some real struggles, and addiction's a big thing. And I'm not one of those cops that looks and says, "Oh, somebody's on drugs are a horrible person." That's terrible. They're just throwaway person. I don't believe that at all. I've had my family have addiction issues, and I think addiction's a real thing, and if you can get people to manage that and get that in check, they can be successful. They can change where they're at. They don't always have to fit that box. So here's this dude doing really well, and I'm like, man, when you got here, all you got to do is stay clean. Well, if you stay clean, you're going to keep that. But you're here and you're smiling and you're happy and you look good. All you got to do is keep that. And, I've had letters come in from people who had those problems that I worked with a lot and took my time with, who are doing good and want to thank. And that makes you feel really good. And that means more to me, honestly, than any amount of money in the world or any amount of, is knowing that what I did and sometimes can change people's lives. And was a chance to help them, which is what I got into that for. Right? I didn't get into it just to see how many people I could put in jail. That's not why I got into that field. I got into that field to try to help people. So yes, yeah. Yes, and then somebody said, did your sales decline during COVID? Did COVID put any of your branding projects on hold? It did not. My sales did not decline during COVID. Actually, COVID pushed the ball python market up. I truly will tell you that if you were to look back several years and look now, prices have gone up. So that means there's more demand in the market. You can actually demand a higher price now than you could have years ago for a lot of things. Not everything, but a lot of things. And I don't know how well that'll do long term. I mean, that remains to be seen. The market will kind of correct back. Usually things bubble, they do. But just because something does that doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Like it's a very, ball pythons have been for a very long time. And I personally believe will continue to be a very stable thing to be in when it comes to reptiles. One of the most stable things you can be in when it comes to reptiles. I think there's a lot of good reasons for that. They're easy, the size of them, like there's the colors of them. But I could see the market correcting back if demand starts to slow down as people go to work or run out of some of the free money that was coming in, that maybe they were just putting all that extra money there and it's gone. Like, well, shit, it'll be interesting. But no matter what happens, if that market does, it may correct too far down and then come back and then kind of regulate, or it may just regulate, or it may stay. Maybe we're at a new normal. I don't really know. And anybody that tells you they do know is probably speculating. So they probably really don't know. But anyway, that is that. So that is a rundown of some of the things that I know that were said about me. And there's probably more, I don't know. But I'm not going to go back and find out unless somebody tells me about it, because I really just don't. I don't care. I'm not going to waste the apparently 6 hours of my life that I guess a good chunk was spent about me, which wasn't that cute. I spent 30 minutes also on me. And goddamn, I don't find myself that interesting, y'all, because 30 minutes I'm out of things to talk about. All right, so before we get off of here, does anybody have any other questions that they want to ask or anything else? And I would be more than happy to answer them for you or give you my thoughts. Now, just because I give it to you don't mean it's the only way. And there may be people think it's wrong or bad or whatever, and that's okay. I'm always going to tell you what I've done, how I've done things, what I know works for me. But just because it works for me doesn't mean that there ain't other ways to do it. And there are things I'll tell people to be cautious about, but down the road have worked out. There's also things I'll tell people to be cautious about. Ball pythons, some things not. And they do it anyway, and it goes in their face. It just depends. A lot of luck involved in that, right? So one thing I guess I would say is if you're going to invest in snakes, like a lot of money, right? And I'll tell you that because there is an answer to that. If you're going to invest a lot of money into snakes, then make sure it's money that you're okay if something bad happens, you're okay with it. That would be any type of business you're going to start up. If you're going to invest a lot of money into something, you have to be willing that if it doesn't go well, you're going to part with that. That's not just this. It's if I was going to start selling widgets, like I have to be willing to take that risk. And if you are, then yeah, do whatever. Do I plan on building Silverback a bigger enclosure? Yes, I do. We've been talking about that. It's just going to find time, all of that kind of crap to do it and design it. What it will probably be is a deck on the current one that then comes out over the shallow end, and the shallow can be filled and not be... Oh, awesome. Bomber Steve, that is cool because you probably get to play with a lot of carpet pythons. That's really neat. But we do plan on expanding that a little bit. Not a whole lot. He doesn't really need a whole lot of... Well, I want to go check out what Caleb built because maybe that'll change exactly what I'm thinking. I'm always open to new shit on that. So, Frost pies are good, but also go with what you like and what you enjoy breeding. And I can't... That's very true. You got to enjoy what you do. If you're not, it's a job. I mean, it is still a job. Picking up poop is not what I enjoy, but I do it. But if you enjoy what you do, somebody once said, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Now, I think that's a bunch of shit. There are days that are still going to be work. But if you enjoy what you do, you may have a hard time getting started one day. Like, man, I really don't want to mess with this. Once you get going, you're going to be like, oh, just chugging along and enjoying it. That is a fact of life. And that's kind of why I don't want to get big. I don't want to enjoy having to run people. I enjoy animals. So I know what I want. That's where I want it to stop. Because that's the life I want. And that's, if anybody thinks I'm wrong for that, whatever. That's stupid. Just getting to breeding here. Any advice on buying candy or Candino without breeding? Picked up a Candino recently, but I think she may actually be a pure candy. Well, the colors will kind of tell you, but some of them are really hard. I mean, you can have a pure candy that's not as, say, visual, that could look like a Candino. And then you can have a Candino that's really, really visual, look kind of like a candy. Side by side, like Martok there is a good comparison. You're going to have darker purples in the candy. But really the only way, if you're told it could be a Candino, is probably to breed it. Because that means when they were comparing it to the siblings, right, they likely, or most likely, because it's probably, if it's a Candino, it's one of two things. Either it was a candy to an albino. And then they're all Candino, right? And if they did a like Candino to a Candino or something like that, where it could be either one, they probably compared it to the siblings and said, okay, candy, albino, candy, albino. We have to do that. We have to let them raise up. And sometimes they're babies. It's damn near impossible to tell. They're a snake that when I breed my Candino to my albino, and you're going to get half albino, half Candino, right? Or actually, ours are Toffino. But Toffee and candy, I do believe, are one of those things that's probably the same thing. So, but when we do that, I hold those back a little bit longer to really look at the colors and see how those colors develop. And I know I'll never produce a Toffee that way because I'm using Toffino to an albino. No, I've held back a Toffino female so we can do Toffee and all of that. So, yeah. To network in order to stay consistent with finding live rats for their collection, there's only a few local producers. Well, what I would tell is if you've got, honestly, man, if you've got enough snakes that you're going out and having to source from multiple producers and things like that, what I would tell you is breed your own rats. I mean, I know it's a lot of work, and for me, I didn't have the time to do that. So like that's what my business partner does. There's two of us. That's the other thing too. Like this can't just make enough money for me. It has to make enough to split it evenly and go to two people. That's how that works when you have a partner. So I would definitely say talk about breeding your own rats. That way you don't have to worry about as much. I kind of miss the days, if I'm being truthful, where Kurt and I just bred for us and then had a handful of rat customers just to cover the food bill. And we weren't breeding through the shop. Because with the shop, I have to put other people first sometimes, and that sucks because we supply the entire section of Kansas, this northeast area. From a retail standpoint, anyway, there's some other breeders out there who do a fine job. From a retail standpoint, we supply this area. And at points, we'll wholesale off chunks, and at points we're too low because temperature and other aspects. But breeding your own rats is the best way. That's the best way to know you have a constant supply. So Anna says, don't forget Panama Jack and Bomber Steve's question. Let me go back here and find it because I did say I was going to get to something, didn't I? But where was it? I did totally freaking forget. Bomber Steve said, do I have any Aussie natives? I do. I have 2 carpet pythons. I've got 8 carpet babies. My first ever produced carpet babies. Would have had more if I would have, but that's on me. So we have those, and I think those are the only Aussie natives I currently have. I did have a green tree python, but unfortunately it got stuck in a display cage under a log, and that got it killed in the zoo. So, and then Panama Jack, why police instead of military? That was the other one. The reason I chose police over military was really simple. I found that with police, I got to pick where I lived. Like, I like it here. I don't want to be told where to go. And I have a lot of family that did military. My brother did military for a hot minute. My dad was in the military. I've got his folded flag on the wall from when he died. And I have a lot of respect for military. Man, we were right by a military base here. I can sit there and listen to 50 cals and bombs blow up from my porch. It's pretty awesome. Not as good as I could my old porch. That was like shaking my windows. This is kind of off in the distance. I see like Chinooks fly overhead and things all the time. I swear to God, if we were ever get invaded, I'm not even going to know it, right? Thank you. That is correct. I do squirrel a lot. I actually read the comments to respond to people who are commenting. I know, novel idea. It's still just raining. Sometimes I do just rant though, so what can I say? But with that, keep an eyeball all the time. Okay, I'm still good. How am I still good? Oof, man, am I still good? So that is why I chose being a cop. Also, I felt like there was a better chance to help a community I cared about rather than, be on base and then get sent here and get sent here and get sent there and then 3 years later move. Is also why I stayed being the type of cop I am. At one point in time, I did look at the Federal Air Marshal Service and went through the entire testing process and then ended up not taking the job at the very end. So, yeah, and there was a few reasons on that. One of them was there was a hiring freeze, so then it was like the 6-month period where it was like nothing. Then by the time it came back around and they were like, hey, are you still interested in that? I had to say no because my first wife had finished school and started her career. I didn't think it was fair to move her, and also some of the things that made me want to do that kind of faltered. And then I also looked at Secret Service for a while for the uniform division. There's 2 divisions. If you don't know, there's the guys you see on the little coats on TV all the time. There's actually like cops in DC, but I didn't want to live in DC, so like I decided to stay where I'm at because I like where I'm at. Turned out pointless. Yeah, man, I'm sorry you guys didn't get probably the support you were hoping for that. Here's what I'll tell you, man. If you ever find yourself getting sent to Fort Riley, Kansas, home of the Big Red One for anything, man, you hit me up, and I promise you this is a very supportive military town. We love our Army here. We do. Like, they supply a lot of, one, they're big in our economy. And number 2, it's just been the home of the Big Red One forever. And we'll always have a lot of support for that. So, no, traffic sucks. And when I was talking to dudes, they're telling me, oh, you make this much money. Because I was literally at a recruiting event. And they were like, man, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Like, dude, you apply, it's yours. Like, that's what they're basically telling me. Like, we need people right now. You've been a cop for that long, you apply, bam, it's yours. of course, that's the recruiter talking, so take that for what it's worth. But, you know, yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, man, you'll make this much money. Right? I'm like, damn, that's a lot of money. They're like, oh, you have to work this much overtime. I'm like, I don't know if I want that. And then the living's so expensive. Oh, you live like an hour and a half out with like 3 other dudes and you drive in. I'm like, negative, negative. Why would I do that? I got it made here. This place is where I'm at is great. So, you know, there is that. No, they were pretty straight up because the funny thing was I was actually there doing recruiting as well. So it was 2 recruiters at the time talking. It wasn't like I was at a recruitment going, I'm looking for jobs. And we just had to have tables close to each other and I got to bullshit. I'm like, man, what's that all about? I don't know much about that division. And yeah. Now, military recruiters, they got a quota. These dudes didn't. They were there like, I don't know what they were doing there. It was kind of surprising to me, actually. So, of course, they needed a lot of people. That was probably part of it. And then somebody else, I know what I thought about a GHI Mojave, something. I think it was GHI Mojave. I don't remember what the other gene was. I love GHI Mojaves. I'm hoping mine lays eggs. So 3 times. 3 times what? Got asked about that? Sorry, Chris. And at Quantico's, I've never been there. That's one place I didn't ever have to go. I would have had to go and I'd taken that. And then, you know. All right, guys, unless you guys got something else, I'm going to hop off here, go home and eat dinner with my wife. Look for some clutch cutting videos coming up. We kind of had this weird spot where there's this break, and we're going to have another one later on, and we'll do all of that. No, see this previously, he was asking about breeding. Let me look and see if I can't find it. So the question something about is 3 times enough? I paired in March. She took when should I expect eggs? I keep checking daily, but I'm not sure if I'm looking too early. So the way reptiles work is, you know, I mean, remember, we have things like retained sperm clutches, so they're going to take when they take, right? Good night, Panama Jack. And so, and again, thank you for your service. If I didn't say that, I appreciate the hell out of it. They're going to take when they take. So just because, like, people, and it's hard, it's a hard concept. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around early on. You know, 2 males, or 2 mammals, not 2 males. Wow. It's not going to happen for 2 males usually, unless, well, it's modern world, so who knows. 2 mammals go out, they mate, and then, you know, if the time's right, the moon aligns, and the stars are happy, then bam, babies, right? With, what's up, Dalton, with a D? With reptiles, it works differently, at least with snakes. So that female's going to hold the genetic material, use it when she wants. That's why you have retained sperm clutches from several years old sometimes. You know, like you hear these stories. It's because she's holding the genetic material. So if you were locking in March and you haven't gone yet, I can't tell you when. You have to read the female signs. Man, excuse me, I got the burps today. The female's the one that's going to show the signs. You know, some of the things you'll see is side lane, bowl wrapping, things of that nature that you're going to see it, and you're going to see the ovulation a lot of times. You know, if you catch it, it's going to be a huge swell, right? Looks like she ate a football, and then it's going to go down in a couple days. When you see the ovulation, you can pretty much say, hey, I'm in a good spot. A lot of people mistake building for ovulation. Now, building, that can go and shrink down, and if it's building, they can still reabsorb, and you can lose all that, which will happen sometimes as well. Things aren't right, and you know. But if you're seeing ovulation, A+, you're good to go. So that's what you really got to watch. Your female. It may not be when she took. And I personally had a retained sperm clutch. Mine was only 1 year old. You could actually find it. There's a video on it where I cut these eggs. I'm like, what the hell am I looking? There's been several videos like that where I'm like, what the hell am I looking at? I have no idea. And yeah. And that could be, I mean, when you see ovulation, though, it's not like getting bigger, getting bigger, getting bigger, getting bigger. It's like you'll see that for building, and then all of a sudden the ovulation is boom, and it looks like they ate a really big meal, but for some reason the big meal is like farther down than it should be. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. It kind of be in that back third, and then it kind of goes back to normal, and then it kind of shrink down after that. So you may have just missed the ovulation. You may have seen it get bigger than the ovulation, and then she shrunk back down. And watch the behavior she'll do post-ovulation. She'll go into a shed. After she sheds, she will likely start to try to nest. And during that nesting period, you're going to see her grow. That's one of the reasons why I like litter over paper towels. Again, personal, if you use paper towels, nothing wrong with that. I like litter because I can see that nesting behavior, and I think it's more natural for me. But plenty of people doing paper towels have no problems at all, so it's perfectly fine. And there you go. And there is, I mean, if all goes well, there can be a timeline, but the female's the one setting it. That's the big thing. The males, will tend to be the ones who are smelling pheromones going into season. But that's just kind of how it works. For us, we'll lay eggs usually starting in April, a little bit, and then we will lay all the way through to through September, sometimes into October. I think I've had one as late as December before. That's usually rare for me. And then we'll start pairing. I'll start pairing probably the 1st of November, end of October again. For the ones that went early, the ones that go later, I'll wait to pair them a couple months. I think what happens is the bigger your collection gets, the more that season kind of starts to stretch out, and then you end up with some collections kind of all year long, which would be fine with me. Actually, it's kind of nice because it spaces out what's in your baby rack and will give us shit available more times than just now. So, but yeah, and Balsky is also a great one to watch. Like, good dude. He's a funny guy. I like him. So I like most people in this hobby. And that's the thing, too. When it comes to this hobby, I am a big believer in people should be positive. Be positive when you're out there, when you deal with other people. I know I'm not always going to be perfect at myself, but to spend time being negative is it's just negative. Do we really need a lot more negative in things? I don't think we do. I think it's a waste, personally, to do that. So, we need Question Girl on the live. Oh, I'll try to talk her into. Honestly, I'm probably going to. I think I've got her talked into once this year settles a little bit, because first part of school, she's doing a whole new thing with the school, so it's a little crazy for her. I think I've got her talked into doing like some Patreon lives with me. She probably won't get into the YouTube lives, but she'll probably get into the Patreon lives more and do some of those with us. I hope. I do want her to participate more, but she's got her own shit she's got to do, and this is my problem. So, it is what it is on that. But I know you miss her. It's a good reason for you to join back up, right? All right, guys. Anything else before I hop up off of here? And hopefully, hopefully, you see we stay true to what we said. We were going to cover the things about us, and we're not going to get into anything else. I mean, there's no point. There really, really is no point. Frankly, I hold myself to a higher standard than that. Sometimes I fail that standard, but I hold myself to a higher standard than that. And I would encourage anybody else in the reptile hobby to hold themselves to a higher standard. And it comes to this: if you're on somebody's thing like this, or in person, or whatever, and you seek advice, or you say something and they talk to you about it and you disagree with it, it's fine. Just move on. Just move on. Just move on. You can take what they want. Advice is free. You don't have to keep it, though. That's the big thing. So, and David, I appreciate you. You know that, though, brother. You know that. Aaron said we missed Question Girl. Well, I am with you, but I can't get her to necessarily jump in here as much. But I'm going to work on it on the Patreon. That's my goal, and I think we'll be able to achieve that with a little bit of luck, because it's kind of fun for us. This is supposed to be a family kind of thing anyway, right? But that would be the one thing I've always said, be positive. The times we've kind of come out and railed against hobby, it's usually been for people being negative without actually dropping their name, like when people were pulling that crap with Barcheck, and we kind of said that's not right. People pulling that crap to new people on Facebook, and we've said that's not right. I don't care who it is. That's not how we can conduct ourselves. Truth be told, if you look at the reptile hobby in general, whether you're keeping ball pythons, big monitor lizards, gaboon vipers, whatever you're keeping, whatever you're into, there's enough stacked against us as a hobby and as an industry that doing it to ourselves is definitely non-productive. It's definitely non-productive. So there's where I'm at on that. And I appreciate that. That's what we always shoot for, is being positive and open. So I know, isn't it? And it doesn't need to be. That's the thing, and it's funny because I'll see or I'll say something that some people don't agree with, which is fine. All these people come on and they'll comment, and I can comment back, and we can have a little bit of a conversation there. And we may see a little bit of the other person's point, we may not, and then we'll just move on. And then you get some people just want to comment like, and I almost equate it to like, or like a fan at a sporting event. I paid my money, so I'm going to yell at the official. I'm the worst about that. I paid my money, so I'm going to yell at Aaron Rodgers, the Packers quarterback. Man, screw that guy. whatever. It's really kind of funny. And I could probably be better about not being an ass when that happens, and I tend to be an ass. I probably shouldn't as much, but I have not been one to always just lay down and let that go from like, I mean, if you want to talk to me, whoever it is, just come at it respectful. But anyway, guys, my wife is calling me now, so that means dinner's probably ready. So, and I'm with you, Dalton, with a D. And that doesn't mean I won't disrespect somebody not on purpose. Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There will be times where I'll say something or do something, and somebody's gonna take that as disrespectful, even if it's not what I meant. And I'll have to go back and eat a little crow and say, "Hey, look, dude, that's my bad. I'm sorry. I don't know what I meant." I've had to do that before, and everybody will have to do that on occasion, right? That's not uncommon in life. You're gonna, as you walk through life, not the reptile, but you walk through life. But purposely being toxic is probably not a good thing. And I'm not saying I've never been guilty of it. I have. But anyway, there it is. Yeah, she just texted me. You all saw that. Tell me, she's like, get home. It's time to eat. Plus, we have to. It's time to sit down and plan summer vacation time. So we got to do that too. It's always fun, right? Picking where I'm going to go, what I'm going to go see. This last trip we did, we always showed on Primus. This sucks. I don't know Primus. We'll see. The last one we did was through South Dakota and all of that, and that was an amazing thing. I love to travel, and that's another thing when you talk about big business. One thing to think about: if you get this big, huge business, I've heard people say, "Hey, man, you get this, you can then have employees, and you can step back." Well, I know me, I couldn't step back. And most people I know have a hard time stepping back. Then they feel like they got to be even more in control of dealing with all of this, And for me, that's how I would be. So I don't want that big business because I don't want to sit there, wake up one day, be 75, and now be like, oh man, I'll spend my whole life stuck in this business, and then I would hate this. It become a prison, not something that's freeing for me, right? And I would love to check that out. Question Girl's not into scary stuff. Maybe Kurt and I can go up there and do a little film. And I've done a cruise. They're awesome. I saw you on that one. It looked like a great time. Although they made you wear the face mask, at least you had a kick-ass Olympus Reptiles one. Probably the only one out there in existence. I bet you have the only one, which is great. Will, we were planning on coming to visit New York before COVID kind of shut that down. We were going to go visit Baker and go hang out with him, and I look forward to doing that sometime. I've been to New York City. It's a really cool city. I got yelled at by the cops in New York City. Real quick, I got here. I was my first marriage, and I was down in NYC, down in Times Square, and just walk around. They got this PD there if you've ever been there. It's got like NYPD flashing under red. It's like the most blingy PD I've ever seen, right? And so I'm walking through there, and there's a cop standing there. I'm like, "Hey, what's up, man?" We're talking a little bit, and I told him that I was a cop and where I was from, and there's some similarities in names and things there. And we were bullshitting about that. And he looks at me, he's like, "Oh man, so you're packing, right?" And I was like, "Huh? Oh man, I don't know. Like, how much of a pain in the ass it is to get a gun on an airport. Like, I just didn't even want to mess with it. My wife didn't want me to mess with it. We didn't want to check that, have a chance for a bag getting pulled and going through this rigmarole and not getting there because they pulled it because there was a friggin' gun in it. And all of that." So I said, "Nah, if that dude chewed me out." He's like, "Man, next time you come to New York, your ass better be bringing a gun." Because he was like, "If shit goes down, the expectation is this and this and this." And I'm like, "Whoa, I ain't working. Like, I'm just traveling, bro." So, yeah, it was pretty funny. How many snakes do I have now? Only if I have time to answer. I think at last count, which was before, and this is not counting babies. This is just like holdbacks, things I'm growing up. I want to say it includes my venomous, and I can't remember if I included my venomous at the zoo or just stuff here. I want to say it was like around 170. Now, remember, we're not going to produce like that number because when you only started doing a whole bunch of your holdbacks, like planning that in 17, we're just now getting those. Those are producing a lot of them this year, last year. Some of the 18s are getting up. With the move, it did throw us off a little bit. We had a little bit of a learning curve when we moved into this facility. But, yeah, so it's going to be a bit before we get there. We probably are still technically a little bit male heavy. Like most people, when we really started rolling, we got male heavy. And, now we're correcting that. Although I still will hold back the occasional male that I really, really like. And that would be awesome. I'd love to shark fish. My brother lives in Daytona, so I've gotten to do some fishing there, but not shark fishing. It's like hanging out on the beach, drinking a beer, and throwing a line in the water, right? But the wife did tell me to come for dinner. I didn't get this fat being late for that. So let me hop off here, you guys. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night. And remember, be good to each other. And there's no really reason for stupid bullshit drama in this hobby, right? What genes are black speckles on a snake? I saw a banana with them. So bananas do that. Bananas will always get black speckles. There's some genes that will clear them out, and there are some genes that will add more of them in. If you like the black speckles, go with black pastel. When a banana's born, it doesn't have any. It develops them with age. Kind of where the name came from, I think. Has that color, gets the spots, But if you want to add more in, black pastel will bring out more purples as well as adding more spots. You guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you all later.